Hey, Meredith.
Good morning. Oh. Hi, Amy.
Hi. How are you?
Pretty good.
Yeah, that doesn't sound super good.
I know. Busy. It's been good. It's been good. It was my birthday Tuesday, so
Happy birthday.
thank you.
Right.
Took a little time off, which was nice, so it's kind of catch up. But
Yeah.
I need some play time this morning, so
Good. That's what you're going to get.
good. Yeah.
I don't have my video on.
Hey,
no.
Joanna. There you are.
Hi.
Hi.
Oops. I just put my boyfriend gave me one of those things to hide the camera last night on.
Oh.
No, I forgot. I was so excited to get to use it that I forgot. Yeah, he's like, don't constantly start and stop and refresh things. Just remember, it's on.
Right.
Yeah. Whoops.
Hey, we have a little crew. Hey, Jacqueline. Hey, Kathy. No, I'm going to just run and close my window because it's loud outside. No.
That's quite the cup you have there.
Oh, isn't it gorgeous? And then on the inside it says enjoy life over here. It's got mushroom broth in it, my magical mushroom broth. So it's almost like a cauldron size. It's very good for soup.
Yay, another great little crew of people.
Yay, excited. And I'm all caught up. I'm so proud of myself.
All right, great. Great. Did people come with stuff to mess around with? Papers, photos,
Magazines.
random things, magazines?
Oh, damn it. No, I didn't. Do I need that?
Well, do you have a world of stuff around you right where you're sitting?
Yeah, my headquarters is full of my stuff that I need to set it up, but yes.
Perfect. So once you see what we're doing, you'll know if you can just work with what's right around you or if you want to go off and find things. It's what I'm going to show you now is a way of working that can be applicable to all kinds of things, not just paper craft kind of things. So just roll with it and see what happens.
Yay! Okay.
Okay. So this is our second guided creative process video, and I set up this little fancy situation with another with another camera. So after I talk to you, I'm going to switch to the other camera and show you what I'm doing on a tabletop. Hey, LaDon. So I was just thinking, as I'm developing this curriculum that starts in September and thinking about the order of things with branding, anticipating questions from people like, does it make sense to dive into all these creative processes before we've really honed, what some of the branding elements are? Like, isn't it useful to go into these creative processes with a little bit of a clearer sense of the brand elements we're trying to hit? And the answer is yes and no. It kind of works both ways. It's a very non-linear process. So we use these processes, turning off my notifications here. We use these processes to help us find the language that helps us create the brand language. Okay, that's done. No more distractions. And then as we refine the brand language, we can take that back into these creative processes. So if any of you are in that state where you're wondering, okay, this is really fun, but how relevant is this or not to my brand? And, you know, when can I start thinking more directly about my brand as I do these creative processes? The answer is, yep, we're gonna kind of do this and cycle back and forth between them. So, and for you all as founding members, this summer is really the play space to do a lot of the less strategic thinking and playing, and the more loose, open-ended thinking and playing. And then we're going to learn from what you're making and see what gives us direction for your brand, and what goes back into the compost pile. Yes, Jacqueline, did you have a question?
If I have a frame that I already work in, so like my whole business is the theater stage analogy, right?
Yes.
So that's my frame. Should I continue play? Should I do this part of the play with that frame in mind, or should I deviate and see if there's another one that I can find?
I would say use that frame to the extent that it inspires and adds to your process.
Okay.
And let yourself deviate. If something starts to happen that takes you down a different path, let yourself explore it. Like, now is the time to explore all those random pathways. Some of them will loop back around to the frame.
Okay.
And they'll all teach you something. So, yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions popping up? All right. So I'm going to show you a process that I use, which is a collage thinking process. It doesn't result in completed collages. It isn't about completed collages as a priority or something, but it's a method that I use, like a play space I put myself in, that helps me go into kind of deeper and deeper levels of thinking visually, and practicing a creative process that's about continual surprise, and that's about discarding my intellectual process, right? Intuitive, fast-paced, the process leads, the thinky brain gets out of the way, and lots of visual ideas get generated, and lots of kind of ephemera and stuff and random stuff gets generated that you can then use as raw material for future ideas, for social media accounts, all the places that raw material can be useful. So I'll do a quick demonstration of what I'm talking about, and then we'll work together, and we'll just keep ourselves on mute and play and come back at the end and talk about it. All right, so what I'm going to show you, I'm going to switch to my other mic, but I can still hear you and I can still see you. So if you have questions, just ask, just unmute yourself and ask. You might lose me for a second here, but this should work. Oh, here we go. There's my table. See my table? Yay. All right. Move this out of the way. Okay, so a little note about materials. I just grabbed a bunch of stuff out of my collage boxes. And my collage box, let's see if I can show you my collage box. Okay. This is my collage box. It's one of them. I have many collage boxes. I have maybe 4 collage boxes. And they are full of photocopies that I made in my 20s when I worked at a photocopy shop, photocopies from a library, plastic junk that I picked up along the way, magazine clippings, photographs of my art, other kinds of photographs, found photos, wrappers, wrapping paper, like all kinds of things I've collected over time. And some of it is, it's vintaged, it's gotten kicked around on studio floors, the dirt is beautiful, there's just a lot that has happened to this stuff. Some of it has become a part of other artworks and then have been dismantled. So I have a big interesting pile of kind of vintaged stuff that I play with. Now, I tell you all this because if you haven't been collecting collage material forever, don't feel bad because you can use anything. I actually saw a beautiful, beautiful series of collages recently, or artworks made with random materials. And I found out that the material that was being used was paper towels, food coloring, and lined notebook paper. And it was so beautiful. So you can really use any kind of material for this exercise, including objects. So again, this is a way of working that is not dependent on having a collage pile that looks just like mine. All right, I'm gonna move this a little closer. Is my voice coming across okay, even though I'm kind of moving around now? Okay. So this process requires a camera and all this stuff. And here is the process. I start to make a mess, arrange, and organize. And I'm not thinking about an overall composition. I'm thinking of moments, right? So I'm not pretending, or I'm not attempting to do something that is going to be a finished piece on a rectangular or a square page. I'm just creating all these moments where colors interact, where images interact. Right now it's pretty abstract, but it doesn't have to be. It can be about subject matter for you. Okay, looks like a mess, right? Now I'm going in with my camera and I'm zooming in on moments that catch my eye. And your zooms can be, close up, far away. And then I start to move. Arrange and move. Arrange, photograph, and move. And what begins to happen, if I were to keep going like this for an hour, I'd probably have hundreds of images, right? Just hundreds and hundreds of images. Let's see if I can show you what's happening here. Okay, so now my camera is starting to fill. Whoops, wait a minute. Get to the right spot here. Now my camera is starting to fill with little fragments. Like when I look at this, I think, well, I want to put a quote on that and stick it in my social media, right? Little worlds start to appear. There's a three-dimensional image that sort of becomes super three-dimensional in this context. Start to really enjoy relationships of colors. This is funny, my sister sent this to me because she was complaining about having a period. Little surprise moment. So I'm just going to keep going. Get back to my camera here. And as I go, each time I start to get slowed down and laborious about something, I'm going to just mess up my whole scene again and start over. Maybe I'll start with something much more minimal next time. Just play and play and play. I even have some transparencies that can lay over things, which can be fun. Old book pages are fun because you get these kind of found letters and words that show up. And there you have it. There is collage without the endpoint. I'm going to put my face back here now. I'm so proud of myself with this toggling camera thing. So collage without an endpoint as a way of thinking visually, and notice yourself thinking visually, and generate, 100 images or more in the course of 30 minutes or an hour. And later you'll go back and go through, and often what happens to me is I'll be able to pull out little groupings and curate them together, and I'll see something, it'll just give me some idea, like it'll start to suggest a kind of story or a kind of world that's being made. So in answer to your question again, Jacqueline, if you already have a framework in mind like theater, you could have a bunch of pieces of paper, torn strips of paper, and you could just very loosely imagine those as curtains or backdrops and let them move through. And if you start feeling stuck by that frame, get rid of it for a while and see if it comes back in a different way. Or even just think of the process itself as theater, that you're auditioning these different pieces in these different settings and what's happening to them and what dramas are taking place. Any questions? Fears? Excitements? Ready to go? All right. So I will stay here. I think I'm gonna do this along with you today. It's been a while since I did it. And I will say, it's 12:17 here. Let's go for about a half an hour and then come back and check in. Unless you're deep in it, then you can just turn your volume off and don't listen to us and keep going. All right, have fun. And just unmute and ask if you have any questions. Hey, everybody. I'm going to finish up my time in about 5 minutes. So I just want to let you know I'm here and I'm unmuted if you have questions or reflections on this process. And if you are deep in it, keep going.
I just have to say I had so much fun.
Good.
Nice not to have to like deal with glue.
Yes, glue makes you have to make final decisions, which is not what the kind of decision you should be making when you're creating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had printed out these. So my printer is, I got like, found a printer on the side of the road, literally. And so it's all broken. And so it prints with these weird stripes.
Yep.
But I kind of love it.
Mm-hmm.
So I printed out me and played with that in there. I'm like, oh, this is my new favorite way to take a picture of me and then put it in all this chaos. And like, here I am just peeking out. Like it feels so me.
This is the one I've been using. It's me drawing. So I can put it on any surface and then I'm drawing that thing.
Oh,
right?
that's awesome.
So it's like you can just make worlds for yourself, right?
Huh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Here, now I'm drawing myself.
That is such a smart idea. I have a picture that I love, and I can do that too. Because because I don't have any flat stuff, I was just making worlds. But I'm kind of pleased with what came out.
Good, good, good. And yeah, that's very theatrical to print out people, characters, human or not.
Yeah.
Put them in spaces, and like Joanna said, like you get to put these characters inside the chaos and play, and it just gives you this whole other world.
Yeah, it's so cool. I'm really kind of pleased with what came up.
Yeah, I think the other thing I was thinking of as I was working is I think what's powerful about this exercise too is that it's not just the arranging, it's the really using your camera as your eye. So the square or the rectangle creates the boundary, and you notice how you compose, like how your brain composes when you put this boundary and kind of move it around.
Yeah, it's so different. Look, I don't know if...
Yes.
That's just stuff that's on my desk.
Great.
So I was very pleased with that. And then I've got some theater masks that I love, and I was playing with those too. So, yay!
Fabulous. Fabulous. How did it go for you, Kathy? Do you want to say?
It was really cool. I have a lot of images of food because I get a meal kit delivery, and they have like these gorgeous images. And so I was layering those with a publication from our public library that's just filled with like amazing illustrations of bikes. Yeah. So it was really fun. Like all my favorite stuff, food and bikes.
Yum, yum.
But it was amazing to see how different, when I cut up elements and then layer them, how the different colors and textures.
Look, I used my mug.
Oh, good. Yeah, the layering is so fascinating. I think of collage thinking as just this really simple moment where one thing arrives and it has its own meaning, and another thing arrives and it has its own meaning, and then you put them together and it makes a third meaning. And then from there it's just more meaning pile up, and in this kind of process you can't even keep track of it. There's so much going on, and sometimes later you notice. I love taking these kinds of images and then putting them all in my Instagram planner, all my favorites, and then writing for each one. And when I switch to my word language, I'll look at an image and then suddenly I'll realize that like this topic that I want to talk about resonates so strongly with the image. And sometimes I know why and sometimes I don't. But then you're throwing more meaning in, and the images change the words and the words change the image, and it's just magic. So I would add that as kind of a follow-up prompt, follow-up assignment for you is sometime later, like don't look at these for a day or two, go back in and pick out 5 or 10 of them and write little things for them, for, you know, a Instagram post or a blog post or an email or whatever, and see what you want to write in response to the image.
I like that.
You can do it as, you can make a little pile of writings, like all the different topics and things you want to talk about, and then start mixing and matching and seeing what they do with the images. Yeah. Anyone else want to report? Anyone struggle with it? That's okay too.
My studio's trashed.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, my office too.
Good sign.
So I started this in a little bit of a panic because I was like, oh my God, I just KonMari'd everything in my house. I didn't know I wasn't supposed to get rid of this stuff. But I found some of my daughter's old artwork that is in a drawer, and just some odds and ends that we had, some like origami paper and things like that that I just couldn't bear to part with, and some 3D images. And what I liked about this assignment was that I have been feeling a little bit of panic around creation, and I like the non-finality of it. So it really is playful. So that was lovely to just feel free like that. I love how awesome are camera phones, right? Like I don't even have to take pictures. And I don't have to worry about waste and, you know, all that other stuff that gets in the way of creativity.
Exactly.
And then I also found, like, you know, since I work with dreams, it's sometimes challenging for me to find images that resonate with that oddness that dreams have sometimes. This was a really great way to get that feeling where you're like, there's a bicycle on top of the London Bridge, or, you know, whatever kind of unreal sort of stuff, or, you know, different sort of stuff is in the dreams. So yeah, this was great.
That's great. Yeah, I KonMari'd my house too, but my ethos is minimal at home, hoarding at the studio. So I definitely recommend, like, going forward, keep your house as neat and clean as you want, but have one box and put a big label on it that says the trash heap of infinite possibility.
I love that. In my work, I say clutter is an opinion. So,
right.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, I think it is about the organization of it all. If I can,
that's true.
Get it, like, keep it contained, the clutter contained.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm going to start a prop box, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because you'll post, Amy, on Facebook about asking for wigs, and I thought, oh my God, those don't take up much space. I could have an entire box of people.
Yes. Well, with my training videos, I'm wearing different outfits and doing my hair different with each one. So I'm going to be different characters.
Yay!
Yes.
Oh my God, that's so fun.
Yes, why not?
Yes, why not?
All right. Any other questions or reflections before we head out?
No, this is good. This was fun. I don't want to stop.
Keep going. Keep going with it. Everybody start a box or a shelf or a place somewhere where you let yourself hoard the trash heap of infinite possibility.
I'm going to mark that down.
See what happens as you start to pair some of these images that you love with writing, and see how that jogs your thinking. When I'm stuck with showing up on Facebook or Instagram, I just grab some images and post them and start writing in response. So these images you took today are another new trash heap of infinite possibility.
How do you curate them, the photos? Do you just keep them all on your phone, or do you move them to a file on your PC, or what? Because otherwise I'm going to end up with
a big file on my computer.
Okay, I'm going to do that too. Because
then I delete a bunch of them and I save a bunch of them, and some of them I never use.
Mm-hmm.
But it's good to have them there. Like I audition them.
Yes.
And there's a bunch of them that will never be relevant to my brand, or a year from now I'll be posting something and suddenly it'll work perfectly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, like, strategic hoarding is a good thing.
I may quote you on that.
All right.
Thank you, Amy. That was amazing.
Day, everyone.
Just in case it's helpful, I have it set up on my phone where everything goes to Google Pictures, and then I delete it when I'm done, so it's already on there and I don't have to manually do it.
Oh, that's smart.
Great advice.
Yeah.
Great advice.
Just less steps.
That's great. Yay.
All right. Thank you.
When's our next training?
Oh, yeah, and post favorites in the group.
Yes. And when's our next training? There's nothing following
I'm not
today.
sure yet. It's not
Okay.
scheduled yet, but you'll know when I know.
Fixed.
The adventure of being a founding member.
Have a great weekend, everyone.
Yes, thank you.
You too.
Enjoy
Bye,
the weekend,
everyone.
love. Bye-bye.
Bye. Happy creating.